Welcome to Quack Co, the board game channel that's 10 minutes or less guaranteed, and today I want to talk to you about Tsuro. Now, this is the brand new luxury edition of this board game, and it is absolutely insane. A full wooden box here that's hand-carved. It looks like a piece of furniture that's been made. A signature card for the prototype, and I'm sure they're going to have these in the actual official finished copies. This one is number 5 out of 5, but they have told me that I have to send this one back to them, and that hopefully I'll pick up a copy of my own. But stone tiles, metal miniatures, a cloth playmat, a silk inlay bag where you keep everything shuffled together, and a rulebook that looks something like this, a bamboo scroll. So, why should you be interested in Tsuro board game? Because that's where the conversation has to start, right? And here's the thing. If you don't already know about this game, if you haven't already played this game, a luxury edition might be too much for you, right? You could get this game at a accessible price to try out between now and when the luxury edition hits. But if you are a fan of Tsuro, if you grew up in this hobby playing this lovely abstract game, if you want a showpiece, something to pull off the shelf to celebrate one of your personally favorite titles, this is going to be that. Along with that, if you want a display piece of Tsuro, a game that you might buy off of Etsy, right? Handcrafted, an abstract puzzle to leave in the center of your table where people come and they just want to play with the pieces and they want to ask you how it works and, get encouraged to continue playing games with you. Tsuro's a no-brainer for that style of atmosphere. It's like a chess set that you might invest in and leave set up. Everyone wants to dabble with it, to figure out exactly why you have something this high produced in a game. So what is Tsuro? Tsuro is a board game that's all about abstract movement. You see, you're going to have a hand of 3 tiles, and you're going to be playing those tiles down onto the map. I'll show you a quick little example of how that works. Here, this phoenix would continue traveling forward. You'll continue doing that until you run your opponents off the outside edge. You see, everyone's going to start at one of the little pips on the side of the board. They'll place a tile down, well, and that would cause me to immediately lose. Place a tile down and run their dragon forward. Now, where Tsuro gets interesting is in this abstract movement, because once you run a single line, you follow it through to its completion. That's the compelling part of this. If you're playing at higher player counts, 3, 4, 5 people, you're going to have this combative game, placing a tile and watching as 3 or 4 different dragons spindle around each other, all leading towards an outer edge of the board. And the winner will be the dragon that has remained on the game mat. It plays quick. I'm talking 10, 15 minutes max, depending on how many people you're playing with, and you end up getting into this repeat game environment. Like, you didn't see a pathway, or someone had the perfect tile and it splintered you off to the side of the board, and you go, darn it, one more game. That's Tsuro. I think when I first sat down to play this, it was one of the times that I was being introduced to the hobby, right? Brand new intro gamer walking into this space, sitting down at something accessible and quick playing, and I believe we played 4 or 5 games in a row because I wanted to get my head wrapped around it. It was approachable, it was easy to understand, and yet still skillful and tactical enough that I was frustrated when I didn't win. That's what Tsuro does. That's the whole element here that it plays with. So, if you don't know anything about Tsuro, I highly recommend you picking up a copy and taking a closer look at it, getting it to the table quickly to decide if an upgraded version is what you should be adding to your collection. But if you do know about Tsuro, let's talk about why you might get a deluxeified copy. Because the reasons, the arguments against it are obvious, right? It's expensive. Anything in our hobby is expensive, and you have to decide which games you want to invest money into. Do you need metal, bronze, and gold dragon statues? Do you need a wooden box that's hand-carved? Do you need physical tiles to play on? I mean, the obvious answer is no. So why would you consider getting a deluxeified copy of Tsuro? Well, there's a few arguments there. First and foremost for me is just the approachability and the accessibility of a game like this. This is something that you can leave on your shelf that people will ask questions about, something you can pull off and play with anyone who walks into the room, and because the production quality is at the stage it's at, it lessens that argument even more. You'll want to engage with it. You'll want to invite people to play. They'll be eager to figure out the answer to why this exists. And I always think about board games as sort of a math equation. How many good experiences I'm going to have based on the interaction with them, based on the people I play with, based on the amount of times I'm able to get them to the table. And for me, I can buy an approachable version of chess. I can get, a decent little dollar store version of checkers. And there's a reason why people spend money upgrading those games. It's not because you can't get the same gameplay experience from a lesser version. It's specifically because you love the games enough that the experience you're having with them is increased with a deluxeified version. And because when you have a deluxeified version, the argument is made easier. Why should you get this game? Because you might play it. And at the end of the day, playing games with the people around you is the heart and soul of what we're trying to do here. I do really like Tsuro. I think Calliope Games has done a fantastic job at creating this upgraded version of the game. And I don't think that this is going to be right for a lot of people who are going to be interested in it. There's not a lot of people that absolutely love deluxeifying everything about their title. But for those that started out, grew up, and have continued to fall in love with Tsuro over and over and over again, I don't see why they wouldn't do this. The other argument that's out there is just the fact that it's going to be limited, hard to get, produced once, and if you have a copy, well, you'll be one of the only who do. I think this is really well done. I'm working on a, full showcase unboxing video when we first pulled it out of the package, and I'm working on a preview over on the main channel as well, just talking about Tsuro, considering maybe getting my hands on a few of the other kind of approachable copies. But for myself, this really is lovely. And I do think I would pull it off the table or off the shelf onto the table more often if I had a piece like this to display. In fact, the odds are I'd leave it set up and allow people to invite themselves to play the game with me. So, that's my thoughts. That's my first initial instinct and impressions of Tsuro, the Luxury Edition. If you're excited about this, let me know. Leave a comment down below. If you think this is ridiculous and overproduced, I hear you. And maybe it's just not right for you. But at the end of the day, there's an audience of people that love this game and a publisher that wanted to support and invest in them. And I'm excited for some of them to get their hands on this because it is every bit as nice as it looks on camera. And if you haven't played Tsuro, go out and grab a copy for yourself. It really is a great little abstract game.